Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest from Unleash the Archers, Abyss, out August 21st on Napalm Records. This album has 10 tracks, 57 minutes in length, and this is the band's 5th full-length studio album. This is a concept album, a sequel to the 2017 Apex. And for this album, I felt that they took the idea, the concept, the storytelling one step further, allowing to really permeate through all the different elements that make up the body, the heartbeat, the soul of this album. Having said that, I think you have to narrow down into 3 main core elements. There's a lot more elements that drive the sound, that drive the existence of this album. But if you want to focus your attention on the main core elements, in my opinion, those are structure, sound, and vocals. These are the 3 beacons. These are the 3 main roots. Everything else becomes a branch that grows from one of those roots. As far as structure is concerned, you also have to break it into 2. You have to talk about the beginning and the end of the record, and then you have to talk about everything that happens in between. As far as the beginning of the album starts off with Waking Dream, a 3-minute and 45-second track that has a dual purpose. This is the opening track of the album, and a great opening track. It's almost a rolling out of the red carpet and introducing you to what you're going to get as far as sound, as far as ideas, as far as approach is concerned. And then it bleeds into the second track of the album, Abyss, becoming part of that track as well. So it has these 2 abilities, the ability to become an extended portion of Abyss, but also introduce you to the album itself. So it has this intro and also part of a song, and a song within itself. So it's a really interesting way of getting the album started. It definitely works extremely well for the record and for the fluidity of the album. Then the record closes off with Afterlife, a magnificent cinematic masterpiece of a track. I don't think the album could close off with a better song, with a better, bigger bang than this track. It's the ultimate curtain coming down and the credits rolling up. This is an album that has a little bit of a cinematic vibe, and having these 2 songs, one as the opener and one as the closing, is really the perfect way to really give the album the 2 perfect bookends. If you're looking at a storytelling aspect, if you're looking at a concept, and you're looking at this album almost as a book, and you have different chapters throughout this book. Then when you look at the structure within the walls, within those 2 bookends, this is a record that is filled with ups and downs. They did a wonderful job alternating tracks, alternating styles, alternating approaches, alternating structures, individual structures within the songs. So you're really not going to get 2 tracks that sound or feel or have similar attributes back to back. The album is very well constructed from that perspective. It really alternates extremely well, creating great dynamic mechanisms, great fluidity, transfer you from song to song at a very nice pace, giving you the necessary ups and downs, some climatic moments, some more dramatic moments, really engaging the listener with the story that they're telling you and creating the perfect structure to take you across that story, so that you don't feel that you're just becoming part of it and it's becoming repetitive and you're not moving anywhere and you're just stuck. No, this is an album that has a magnificent structure from both aspects, beginning and end, and then everything that happens in between. Super fluid, super dynamic, and always moving in the right direction, always keeping the listener engaged with every single track. As far as sound goes, this is an album that mixes in 3 main core elements. You have a lot of classic heavy metal sound, you have a lot of power metal, and you also have a lot of synthesizer, which gives this 80s vibe, this, I wouldn't go as far as saying psychedelic, but it definitely gives this 80s sci-fi feel to the album, which plays extremely well with the concept of the album and with the story that they're telling you. And when you put these 3 elements together, I don't want to call it genres or influences, but when you put these 3 elements together, you really allow yourself to create songs that can go almost anywhere. You're going to have songs that from a sound perspective are more power metal driven. You're going to have songs that are more classic heavy metal. You're going to have songs that sound that were straight out of the 80s, that like somebody just plucked them out of a TV series or a sci-fi movie in the 80s, and a lot of that comes from that synthesizer. That synthesizer sound really creates a magnificent atmosphere, a magnificent soundscape that allows the album overall to have a very cinematic vibe from the beginning to the end. Not every single song has that cinematic vibe. Not every single song has that aspect, that 80s influence into the sound. but it's definitely there. Some songs more than others, but it never really goes away. The whole record really has this 80s sci-fi movie vibe or TV series vibe to it. And once again, it works perfectly well with the concept. It works extremely well with the concept. It works extremely well with the storytelling aspect of the album. And then when you put power metal and classic heavy metal together, everything, all these moving pieces coming in, merging to create this really magnificent sound that adds to the overall structure of the album. Like I said, the internal structure of the album is one of ups and downs, climatic moments, more dramatic moments, more darker moments. So the sound really represents that structure, and the two are really tied in together on every single song, so that one enhances the other, and overall they enhance the storytelling part of the album, which is a huge component when you have a concept record. You really have to not only tell a story, but create the soundtrack for that story. And I really felt that with the structure being as dynamic as it is, and with the sound being as robust as it is, they did that across all 10 tracks. Now vocally, what is there to be said? Britney slays. She slays on this record. Magnificent album from her perspective. I felt that this is one of those albums where she was no holds bar. She didn't hold anything back. There was nothing left in the tank. She gave 110% on every single track. Not that she hasn't done that in the past, but I felt that on this album she took a little bit more liberty. She was a little bit more wilder in her range. I didn't feel like she was as tamed. It was definitely more of an organic approach from her vocal side, and she absolutely delivered on every single song, putting herself on full range on almost every single track. Obviously, there's some songs where she takes a lot more liberties, where she really expands on what she can do. There's some tracks due to the story component of the song, due to the musical components of the song, she's a little bit more restrained. But overall, you get the full spectrum of Britney slays across all 10 tracks. On top of that, I really enjoyed the additions that they had. I love the backing vocals. They use them throughout the record. It works really well in order to enhance the overall heaviness of the tracks, the overall power of the tracks, but also from a storytelling perspective, it works very well with the story that they're telling you. So it just enhances everything. It enhances the sound, it enhances the presence, it enhances the songs. So I like the backing vocals and how they were used and not abused on this record. I like some of the harsh vocals that were also thrown in. I felt that it added the necessary darkness in some tracks. It added these dualities to the song, almost a sense of a duet without being a duet, but having like the angel and the devil on your shoulder, these two fighting spirits coming together with two different vocal approaches within the same tracks. So I like everything surrounding the vocals, but I like the fact that they allowed her voice to be the main beacon, to me the main core element as far as vocals are concerned, and then adding all of these other elements in the periphery, either be the guitar player coming in with clean vocals or harsh vocals, or adding backing vocals, whatever the case might be. I always felt that it added something to the song. It enhanced the beauty, enhanced the melody, enhanced the presence and the heartbeat and soul of the track, but it never really took anything away from her vocal performance and from letting her be the leader and the voice that really guides every single song from beginning to end. Overall, this is a magnificent album by Unleash the Archers. It's really hard to say where this album ranks for the band, but it's definitely one of the best albums that they've ever put together. When you really consider all the different parameters, all the different elements that make up this album, and when you see how organic the construction of the album is, this is really an album that came to them very natural. Not to say that there wasn't a lot of hard work put into the record, but it's an album that just feels very organic, very natural, that you get the best out of every single member of the band, almost without putting too much effort into it. They just allow themselves to be themselves, and therefore create an album that's becoming a living organism that has a heartbeat of its own. So this is one of their best albums to date. I really enjoyed this record. I really enjoyed the journey, and most of all, I enjoyed the sound that they created, the soundtrack that they created for the story that they're telling the listener. As far as songs are concerned, I want to start off with Through Stars. a very 80s sounding track. There's quite a few of those on this album. I really like this one, not just from that characteristic, but I really like this one because the way it comes across, the way it's put together. The verses carry the song forward. They have a little bit more power, not a lot, but a little bit more power. When you get to the chorus, the song becomes a lot more melodic. The synthesizer and the backing vocals in the chorus really adds to that melody, but they also add a little bit of energy. It allows the song to have this peak in the chorus, to be a little bit more flat in the verses, and then to peak in the chorus. The solos are magnificent. They come in after the second chorus, and they have a little bit of an old school vibe to them, to how they're put together, but they have great energy and great melody. So they pulled in the energy, the power, the drive that you have in the verses with the melody that you get from the chorus. Those two elements were combined together in the guitar solos, allowing the track to really come to life at that moment, and then allowing itself to play all the way down to the end of the track, not having any more vocals from that point on. I really like the construction of the track. I really like how it's put together, and I love this closing, allowing the guitars to really dictate where the song goes towards the end of the track. Next, Legacy. Great guitar and vocal harmony to open up the song. Really magnificent. I loved it. I almost wished it went a little bit longer, and it perhaps was too short because it was so magnificent, was so beautiful. I just wish that was a little bit more extended into the track. Once that stops, everything comes in. The song becomes a lot heavier. It has a lot more strength. It has a lot more volume. It's a track that really balances melody and heaviness very well throughout, from the beginning all the way to the end. The vocals are perfect. I like the backing vocals, another track that uses backing vocals, and I really like it because it elevates the track. It elevates the presence of the overall vocal track, and it makes the song feel a little bit more robust, matching the vocal style with the sound that the track already has. So the two elements become a little bit bigger, giving the song overall a lot more volume. I like that. They're mixed perfectly throughout. You really get this perfect combination of heaviness and melody that just creates this big wall of sound across the whole track. The solos are groovy, they're melodic, and they're filled with fantasy, which plays into the storytelling aspect of this specific track. So you really get a song that has a little bit of a Disney vibe to it, specifically coming from the solos and how groovy and melodic they are. But this song overall has a very cinematic feel to it, and the solos really enhance that presence. They really enhance that soundscape, that atmosphere that this song has. Last but not least, Faster Than Light. Perhaps the fastest track on the album. Definitely the tempos on this song are all the way to 11. Really fast track, never slows down. It's not a track that really slows between verses and chorus. It has a very good dynamic mechanism that really pushes the track at a steady tempo, at a steady speed all the way through. I like that aspect of it. It doesn't really change. It just has one speed, and that speed is fast. And that allows the song to be very, very dynamic, very powerful. Not heavy necessarily, but very dynamic and very powerful. The vocals in the chorus change ever so slight. They change the delivery and the tone. That makes the song feel like it's slowing down, but it's not. It's just the approach is slightly different, and it gives you this sense of slowing things down. But in reality, it's really not slowing it down. It just gives you this false sense of slowing down, which works very well because it almost gives you a sense that you're able to finally catch your breath, even though the song still has a great tempo and a great momentum to it. Britney's vocals are definitely a beacon throughout this track. She goes full range. I think this is one of the songs where you get the most out of her voice. You get everything that she can give you in one single track. This is perhaps the best synopsis as far as overall vocals are concerned for the album, because almost not everything you're going to get vocally is present on this track, but almost everything that you're going to get vocally is included into this song. This is it. This is Unleash the Archers with Abyss. Once again, out August 21st on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.